Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Shri Shri Radha Ki, Shri Gaurikai Ki, Shri Gayatri Ki, Shri Shri Sitaram Hanuman Ki, Shri Prabhupada Ki, ISKCON Ortho Ki. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurundinataranam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here in New Jersey, in ISKCON of New Jersey, here in the Tuakla Temple. Actually, we just took a visit to the new temple site, Parsippany, and such an impressive development, huge temple. I really thank Neelamani Prabhu for taking out the time to show us around, and I just really encourage everyone to really get behind the project, support it, and open this wonderful new facility, which the whole community will benefit from for many years and decades to come, and many new people, I'm sure, will be attracted by this wonderful new facility. So many rooms, so much space, and so many wonderful projects which will naturally sprout from that temple. So it's inspiring to see so many wonderful things going on here in ISKCON America. I'm from London, you can probably tell from my accent. I was born and bred in London. My parents are, of course, from North India. I joined the temple in Bhaktivedanta Manor. I spent around 10 years there. Who's heard of Bhaktivedanta Manor? Yes, so it's one of our main temples in Europe. It was donated by George Harrison of the Beatles in 1973. A beautiful place, stunning. But somehow I left the manor and I moved to ISKCON Hungary. So I now live in Budapest Temple, and I've been living there for the past 8 years. Right now we're traveling around the US. So we're 2/3 of the way through our travels. We've been dotting around various temples, communities, and centers, starting in Houston, Texas, and going to many, many places. And we're sharing some Krishna Katha, some topics of Krishna, and as Prabhu mentioned, the books of His Holiness Shivaram Swami, which I'll mention in a moment or a little later. Of course, today is a very special day. Apart from it being Sunday the 7th of July, does anyone know what's special about today? Rath Yatra. So, of course, any day can be Rath Yatra. Last week, I lose track of time. Last week, we had Rath Yatra here at the new temple site, of course. All across ISKCON, there are Rath Yatras, particularly in the summertime, but also all year round. You have Rath Yatras in different parts of the world. This is a wonderful festival which Srila Prabhupada brought from India. It's the festival of the chariots. And of course, when Prabhupada was young, then he conducted his own Rath Yatra festival in his local neighborhood. This was his favorite festival. He built a little cart and he did Rath Yatra in his neighborhood. Many people joined, and this was a precursor for things to come. Because in his preaching, Srila Prabhupada brought this Rath Yatra festival starting in San Francisco and then going all over the world. So in many, many major cities, towns, and even villages across the world, we hold these Rath Yatra festivals where Lord Jagannath The Lord of the universe comes out of the temple to survey his land, to see what's going on, and to give his darshan to the devotees. So such a wonderful festival. He is Jagannath. He's the Lord of the universe. But where does this festival come from? What is the deeper meaning behind this Rath Yatra festival? So I thought I'd speak a little bit about this today. And it all goes back to Vrindavan, 5,000 years ago. So once there was a solar eclipse. And a solar eclipse is not a very auspicious occasion in the Vedic understanding. So at that time, Krishna, of course, he appeared in Vrindavan. He spent his youth in Vrindavan. And then at a certain point, he moved to Mathura. He spent around 25 years in Mathura. And then he moved to Dwarka. In Dwarka, Krishna was the king of the Yadus. He had 16,108 wives, 16,108 palaces. With each wife, he had 10 children. Big family. Just thinking about birthdays. Though, of course, I wonder whether I don't think they really celebrated birthdays in the same way we do in the kind of Western part of the world. My parents at least told me that when it was their birthday, then, maybe they, sort of got a little pat on the back. But most people forgot. So I think in previous times, birthdays weren't such an event. But anyway, I'm sidetracking. So a big family. Krishna was the king of the Yadus. He was a king of Dwarka. He was in a very prominent position. Very different to Vrindavan. Because in Vrindavan, Krishna is just the darling of Vrindavan. He's a beautiful, wonderful blue boy. And everyone is spontaneously attracted to him. But not because he's in some sort of position, not because he has huge responsibility, not because he's someone special, but just because he's Krishna. He's just naturally attractive. This is the nature of Vrindavan. And then in Dwarka, Krishna's the king. He's wearing his armor. He has his helmet. He's in charge. He makes key decisions. He has his ministers and they all adhere to his orders. So it's a different mood. Of course, when Krishna leaves Vrindavan, he breaks the heart of the Vrajvasis, the residents of Vrindavan. Their lives, their consciousnesses revolve around Krishna. All they think about is Krishna. The Vrajvasis are the most inattentive practitioners. So who do they worship? The Vrajvasis, they do not worship Krishna. Krishna is their boy. So who do they worship? They worship Narayan, they worship Surya, they worship Indra. We hear about that during the Govardhan Leela. So they worship so many incarnations of Krishna, so many demigods. So they're like normal Hindus. Yeah? But they may be doing arati, ringing the bell, doing the worship of Lord Narayan, but they're so inattentive. Their minds just constantly fly away. They find it very difficult to control their minds and bring it to the object of worship. Anyone ever experienced that? Yeah, sounds familiar? Yeah, so we also have the same problem. We're trying to worship Krishna. We're trying to hear the holy name, and our minds fly away. What does our mind fly away to? We're trying to fix the mind on Krishna. Our mind flies away to non-Krishna. Let's leave it at that. The Vrajvasis, they're trying to worship Narayan, Surya, Indra, whoever it may be, and their mind is constantly flying away to Krishna. What a problem. What a problem to have. No, so they're spontaneously attracted to Krishna. So when Akrura comes and rips Krishna away, such a cruel personality. He rips Krishna away from the Vrajvasis and takes him away. Then he's basically ripping out the heart of the Vrajvasis. They're so torn. But there's one lifeline. One lifeline. Krishna's words. He says, I'll be back. I'll be back. I will return. We will meet again. And they're reassured by these simple words. This is their hope, that one day, at some point, we will meet Krishna again. And they're holding on to these words. And this is the one thing which keeps them alive. There are 10 stages of separation. Separation gets deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Can anyone guess what the 10th stage of separation is? Louder? Madness. Maybe that's 7 or 8. Death. Who said that? Thank you, Prabhu. Death is the 10th and final stage of separation. So you're writhing in the pangs of separation so deeply that eventually, what's the point of living? So they just die. So many of the Vrajvasis are very close to that 10th stage. But then the news comes that there is an eclipse, a solar eclipse. And that's fine. Okay, there's a solar eclipse, but everyone during the solar eclipse, what do? They go to a holy place. They take shelter of that holy place so that they can be protected from the malefic effects of this solar eclipse. So they hear that everyone is converging on Kurukshetra. Dharmashetre, Kurukshetre, Samveta, Yuyutsava. We hear the first verse of the Bhagavad Gita. There was a young lady yesterday who said she knew 650 of the 700 verses of the Gita. Is she here today? No. Sorry? She's okay. Anyway, so nice. We're in Austin, Texas, and there was one young lady, similar age, 13, 14 years old, and she knew the entire Bhagavad Gita, all 700 verses. That's wonderful. Yesterday, this young lady knew 650 of the 700, and the target was July the 27th. Her mother, yeah, you know the Gita, you're twins, yeah, and you know the whole Gita, correct? Give him a round of applause. And the father, that's the father. Father? Hare Krishna. Give him a round of applause. And the mother. Oh, Maniki. Hare Krishna. This is training. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. The first verse of the Gita Kurukshetra is described as the Dharmashetra, a place where many auspicious activities have taken place for eons. And therefore everyone converges on Kurukshetra, including Krishna. So when the Vrajvasis hear that Krishna, he'll be in Kurukshetra, then they also rush to Kurukshetra with great excitement. We're going to see Krishna again. We're going to see Krishna again. Their hearts are jumping with joy. Has he aged? Does he look the same? How will it be? They're imagining the scene, Kurukshetra. You know, when you really, really want something, or you're planning on going somewhere, the mind paints so many pictures. So that they're in such anticipation to meet Krishna again. And then eventually, of course, they go to Kurukshetra. Krishna's in Kurukshetra. But it's not just Krishna. Krishna comes with his many associates. He comes with his guards. Many, many other kings from various other kingdoms also come to Kurukshetra. Krishna's meeting with all these kings. They're discussing land, borders. They're discussing economics and finance. They're discussing politics and alliances. So many things which any king needs to take care of, needs to see to. Krishna's dressed not in his beautiful yellow dhoti, with a sash, with a nice forest flower garland, with a peacock feather. This is how the Vrajvasis remember Krishna. This is how he would always dress in Vrindavan. But now Krishna's wearing armor. He has a helmet. He's got his bow and arrow. And he's got guards all surrounding him constantly. He's meeting with all of these kings, all of these important people. And no one will allow these villagers close to the king of Dwarka. So the Vrajvasis feel very excluded. They see Krishna from afar, from a distance, but they can't go near him. Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj are allowed closer to him, but it's for a very short time, because Krishna's got business to take care of. Things just aren't the same. So you know when something's so close and yet so far, it's almost torture. It's torturous. So the Vrajvasis, all they can think about is Krishna, hugging him, being close to him, hearing him, talking to him, having an intimate exchange with him. But they can't. They can't, because the circumstances, the environment is not right. So then, eventually, the solar eclipse ends. Everyone's done all of the rituals which you do to observe such an event, and people begin to leave. They begin to leave Kurukshetra. They begin to return home. I don't know if you have this experience, but often when we have a festival, like in Hungary, where I live, we have beautiful festivals for Janmashtami, Radhashtami, and Nishinga Chaturdashi. Many devotees come from all over Europe and even some all over the world. And we have huge kirtans. So the kirtans start at 6 p.m. I mean, it's an all-day, all of these are all-day festivals, but in the evening we have a kirtan at 6, and it goes on till 10, 11, 12, 1, 2 a.m. In the old days, when Shiva Ramaj was younger, they'd go on to a Mangalarati. Wonderful kirtans. But around 9 or 10 o'clock, many devotees go home, and only the hardcore devotees are left. Yeah, and then that's the after. So we call that the after party. When most of the devotees have gone, the hardcore devotees are left, and then we really go for it, and then we really have kirtan. So in a similar way, when all of the Vrajvasi, all of the other people have gone, Krishna remains, and the Vrajvasis remain. They meet on a hill. It's evening time. There's a breeze blowing. The Vrajvasis come to Krishna, but still there's guards. At the bottom of the hill there's guards. They can hear the horses neighing. They can hear the chinks in the armor. You know, when the soldiers move, the armor clings and chinks. Krishna's wearing all of this regalia, this kingly regalia. It's just not the right environment, because Vrindavan has a very specific atmosphere. That atmosphere is priceless. It really contributes to the pastimes, to the mood. So the Vrajvasis say to Krishna, they start speaking to him, they have interaction with him, but they say, let's go back to Vrindavan. We're here in Kurukshetra, but this place is just not the same. Please, Krishna, let's return to Vrindavan. And so, with the ropes of love, the Vrajvasis are calling Krishna back to Vrindavan. Let's leave Kurukshetra and let us go back to Vrindavan. And actually, this is the essence of Rath Yatra. Who is Lord Jagannath? He's Krishna. And then there's Baladev and Subhadra, of course, their younger sister. Lord Jagannath is being called back to Kurukshetra. So when we pull the ropes of the chariot, we are the Vrajvasis. And we are saying to Krishna, Krishna, please, please, let us go to Vrindavan. The heart of a devotee is Vrindavan. So actually what we're saying is, Krishna, please, please let me pull you into my heart. So this is actually the essence of Rath Yatra. We are calling, we are beseeching, we're begging Krishna, please, Krishna, return to my heart. I call you into my heart. And this is really, when we're chanting, when we're reading about Krishna, Shukadev Goswami in the second canto of the Bhagavatam, he says, Bhagavan Vishate Hridi. By reading and chanting, we are calling the Lord into our heart. Shrimvatam Sakatha Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Hidyantastohya Bhadrani Vidunoti Suritsatam. As we hear Bhagavatam, it's described that Krishna enters into the heart and he cleans everything which is unwanted in the heart. And in this way, devotional service is established as an irrevocable fact. So this is the mood and this is the meditation of Rath Yatra. And sometimes people say, well, we should have Rath Yatra on Rath Yatra day. The day is happening in Puri. On that day, we should have Rath Yatra all over the world. What is this? ISKCON is having Rath Yatras on any old day, on all of these random days. ISKCON New Jersey had Rath Yatra a week before, a week early. What is going on here? When we actually understand the purpose, the meaning of Rath Yatra, then actually we can have Rath Yatra every day. Because what is the Rath Yatra? We are calling Krishna into our hearts. This is really the essence of Rath Yatra. So in Puri today, earlier today, I don't know if anyone's seen pictures, over 1 million people converge on Jagannath Puri. Huge crowds, very, very hot. It's an intense experience. Has anyone been to Jagannath Puri for Rath Yatra? Yeah? Intense experience, very memorable experience, I'm sure, as well. Enlivening experience, I'm sure. So I'd like to go one day. So on this day, Lord Jagannath goes from the Jagannath temple to Gundicha temple. So this is called Nilachal. Jagannath temple is called Nilachal. And Gundicha temple is called Sundarachal. Yeah, Sundarachal. So Lord Jagannath is taken from Kurukshetra. He's taken from the Jagannath temple to Vrindavan, the Gundicha temple. So this is what's going on in Jagannath Puri today. It's a wonderful festival. And for many people, when they attend these Rath Yatra festivals, for some, it's a social gathering. It's a chance to meet old friends, talk, catch up, see what the latest gossip is. For some, it's a chance to maybe see the kids dancing in their Bharatanatyam show. For others, of course, they're going by 2 weeks. Yeah, for others who are going by, they have no idea that this festival is going on, and they just happen to come along and experience some of the food, the dance, the music, and partake in this festival. I was in Atlantic City last week, where there was a Rath Yatra, and it's what is it called? It's Sin City, right? Atlantic City. So it's a good place to spread the mercy. About 10 years ago, I was visiting Atlantic City to distribute Prabhupada's books. And I was going in and out of the casinos, distributing Prabhupada's books. It was tough. I love distributing Prabhupada's books. I've done it all over the world. But Atlantic City was tough because people were just so absorbed, so zoned out. And in these casinos, just the atmosphere is kind of dark, like a subterranean like the lower regions, kind of dark, perfect temperature, food, drink, anything you want on tap, cheap hotels so you can stay overnight. If you want a bit of rest, then, stay there. Their purpose is that you stay there for as long as possible and waste as much money as possible, or give them as much money as possible. They don't see it as waste, of course. So then I was trying to wake these people up from their zoned out state and talk about something deeper. There was a monk giving them a book on yoga, meditation, philosophy, life wisdom, the purpose of life, and they weren't too interested. Anyway, so these people, they were receiving the mercy of this Rath Yatra. They got to come. They had darshan of Jagannath Baldev Subhadra. They saw the kirtan, they saw the dance, they took some prasadam, they met devotees, they heard the holy name, and in this way they were really benefited. So this Rath Yatra, Srila Prabhupada really, as he did with everything, he created it he took it as a great tool in order to share Krishna consciousness with the world. And it's such a wonderful gift. So many people come unplanned. They don't know what it's all about, but they get a real burst of Krishna consciousness. But few people actually really know what it's about. And therefore we, when we next have a Rath Yatra, when we're next attending a Rath Yatra, or even in our own meditations, we should look to call the Lord into our hearts. And this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exemplified. He stayed in Puri for 18 years, and he would attend the annual cart festival, Rath Yatra festival. And he would dance. He would dance very enthusiastically in front of the Rath Yatra. On one occasion, he began to sing a song. Yakkamarahara. When people were listening to this song, it sounded like a Bollywood song. There was no mention of Krishna. There was no mention of Srimati Radharani. There was no mention of Vrajvasis. It just sounded like a song about a boy and a girl who were in love and they wanted to meet. And everyone was so confused. He's a sannyasi. Some call him the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not everyone considered that to be the truth at the time. But it was very confusing. What is this very strict sannyasi doing, singing Bollywood songs? If I started singing Bollywood songs on this Vyasa-san, I'm not a sannyasi, I'm just saying. What if I started to sing some random Bollywood song now? Prabhu would probably kick me out of the temple, right? And with good reason. So people really began to consider, who is this Chaitanya? What is he doing? What is going on here? So many people started to criticize Lord Chaitanya. There were only a few people who understood what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's internal meditation was. Only a few, very few. The next day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go daily to visit Haridas Thakur. He would take for him the Mahaprasad of Lord Jagannath. And Rupa Goswami was also living there. So when Mahaprabhu went to visit Haridas Thakur, he saw that in the roof of the hut, it was a thatched roof, he saw there was a leaf. They used to write on banana leaf. So he saw that there was a leaf. He was curious. So he took the leaf out and he began to read what was written on the leaf. And on that leaf, first of all, he noted the handwriting. It was a handwriting of Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami had amazing, beautiful handwriting. It's described, it was like rows of pearls. Very, very, very beautiful. But on this leaf, it was written, there was another verse, and it begins, Priya Soyam Krishna Sahachari Kurukshetra Militas. Basically, what this verse was doing was explaining the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was singing this song that sounded like a Bollywood song. People were misunderstanding him. But what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what Rupa Goswami had done is that he had understood what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood was, what his meditation was, and he wrote a verse to elaborate and explain what his meditation was. When Mahaprabhu read this verse, he was shocked. He said, "Who has written this verse? And how does he know my mind? How does he know my heart? How does he know what's going on inside?" He was so surprised. So then he asked Damodara Goswami, "Who wrote this?" And he said, "Rupa Goswami." And he said, "How does he know my mind?" And Swarup Damodara Goswami said, "Well, it's obvious. You have given him your mercy." Yeah? And therefore, there's this verse we sing, Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam. So it's described that Rupa Goswami knew the mind of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's because he knew what was Mahaprabhu's meditation. And so Mahaprabhu was very, very happy with Rupa Goswami. And he asked all of his associates to give him his mercy. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's meditation, when he was pulling the Rath cart, when he was dancing in front of the Rath Yatra, was very deep. It was very deep. In a similar way, we should also understand, we should go deep and understand what the purpose, what the mood, what the meditation is of our scriptures and of the great personalities who we read and hear about. So this is a quick summary of the Rath Yatra. There's so much more that could be said. These verses that I've mentioned are very, very beautiful. But I'll stop there and ask if there's any questions. Yes?
You were describing the condition of the Vishvasis after Prabhu took Krishna away. So it almost sounds like Russia at the time to go with Krishna. Look at the suffering of it. Yes, I'm asking you to explain a little bit the difference between spiritual, the apparent suffering and the spiritual.
So in case anyone didn't hear, we were talking about how the Vrajvasis underwent so much pain and suffering when Krishna was torn away from Vrindavan. Sounds very painful. And these were Krishna's devotees. These were the Vrajvasis. We're meant to follow in their footsteps. Why should we be devotees of Krishna? Is he going to put us through such pain and anguish and suffering? Why don't we just worship? I said this yesterday, I think. It was so nice. I was in Houston, and it was morning time. It was japa time, and I was sitting next to the cushions. And Hanumat Preshka Maharaj, he came and he was walking in a zigzag kind of, like this. And then he said to me, "Don't worship Krishna. He's crooked. Better you worship Lord Narayan. He's straightforward." So Krishna is a little naughty. Yeah, sure. He steals butter. He eats mud, but then tells his mother that he hasn't. He does all sorts of naughty things. But we have to remember that Krishna always wants the best for us. And by worshipping Krishna, actually, so he says in the Bhagavad Gita, one of my favorite sections or lines from the Bhagavad Gita, Yam labdva chaparam labham. Yeah? Correct? How does it begin? The beginning of the verse. I also can't remember right now. Loud. Very good. So attaining this, one realizes there is nothing better to be attained. So actually the nature of separation is that it seems like it's painful. It seems like their heart is being torn out of their chest. But actually within that separation is the greatest, deepest form of union. The purpose of separation is that when there is union, it is even deeper, even richer, even more beautiful. So Krishna himself has designed these pastimes in this way. Separation, so Rupa Goswami describes that Navvina vipralambhena sambhogha pushtimashnute. He describes that without vipralamba, without separation, union is not nourished. So this whole process of separation and union enriches union. So Srila Prabhupada uses a very nice phrase in the Krishna book. He says, it is all for the exaltation of rasa. I mentioned this yesterday. One, we should always remember, whenever there's something which confuses us about pastimes that we see, then there's a few sutras which really help us to explain and understand why things are the way they are. One of them is, it is all for the exaltation of rasa. So what this does is that Krishna's pastimes become even richer. The mellows, the experiences become even deeper and even more pronounced. And this allows Krishna and the associates to have a more enlivening experience. Is that okay, Prabhu, in short?
Sure, it's okay. I would ask some beyond it too, because it seems that it's not just that separation enhances union, because union didn't happen. But isn't there in separation a kind of ecstasy also?
So within separation, if you want the latest iPhone, you're looking at the website, the Apple website, you look on Amazon, compare which is cheaper, probably Amazon. And then you start looking at the megapixels, you look at all the adverts, you look at everything they're putting out, you see all the billboards, you see your friend who's got the latest iPhone, it's got, I don't know, it's not 42 megapixels, but it's 44, and this is really going to change your life, or so they make you believe, But your mind is just absorbed in what you don't have. And then what happens? The day you get the iPhone, by the next day, it's just another phone. And you're just using it like you did the previous one. And the 44 megapixels as opposed to 42 don't really make a difference to your life. So there's a difference between separation and union. When you don't have something, this is a very mundane example, but you get the point. When you don't have something, then the intensity, the absorption of remembrance, of focus is deeper than when you have it many times. So when the Vrajavasis, when they're in separation of Krishna, actually the intensity of their remembrance, the yearning, the calling from their heart, the desire to be with Krishna is in one sense even more intense than when he's actually in Vrindavan. And I say even more intense because I'm not minimizing in any way the intensity of their desire when he is in Vrindavan, but I'm saying even more intense. Because when you don't have something, the nature is that you really, really, really want it. So within this separation, there is an even deeper union. I don't know if you've ever experienced extreme cold. I think the coldest I've ever experienced was in a place called Luleå, which is northern Sweden, north Sweden, near Lapland. It was February. February is the coldest month in that region. And for some reason, I went there to distribute Prabhupada's books. I should have gone in the summer. But anyway, I went in February. A friend of mine recommended it, and I never forgave him. I never will. It was minus 38 degrees. It was minus 38. My body, I was born in London, but it's an Indian body. I like heat. I love this weather. I was in minus 38. I'm sorry, I couldn't function properly. Every 10 minutes, I had to go into the store to warm up my hands, warm up. The first two things which go, I know from experience, are the toes and the fingers, the tips of the fingers. They get so cold, I couldn't feel them. My hands became so cold that at one point it felt as though they were almost burning. So within that experience of extreme cold, there was almost a burning sensation. I couldn't feel my hands anymore, almost. A little bit of feeling, and the predominant feeling was burning. So it's interesting, when you experience extremes, then it almost like you flip over to the other side. So within the extreme of separation, there is this experience of union with Krishna. Is that okay, Prabhu? There's a lot more to be said, as you know, but that's as much as we'll say at a Sunday feast class at 6 p.m. when I'm meant to finish at 6 p.m. Is this video working? Okay, so I know there's more questions, but yes. But what I want to do is just say a little bit about the books we have. So these are really beautiful, wonderful books. The pastime that I told now is in these books, and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of beautiful, wonderful pastimes all about Krishna. And in Krishna consciousness, if we really want to become Krishna conscious, then learning the Bhagavad Gita is a wonderful step. It's very laudable. Hearing about Krishna. So hearing Krishna's words is very important. And then Srimad Bhagavatam teaches us about Krishna's activities. And then Chaitanya Charitamrita teaches us about Krishna's mind. Shri Shri Gaurikai ki, Srinathji ki, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki. So we need to learn about Krishna, hear about Krishna. Constantly hear and hear and hear about Krishna. There is not too much hearing we can do. Because then Krishna becomes relatable. He becomes a person. He becomes someone that we can connect with. We need to develop our personal relationship with Krishna. And with this in mind, Srila Prabhupada very early on in the Krishna consciousness movement gave us the Krishna book, a summary study of the 10th canto. So that when we say Krishna, that word is filled with meaning. Who is that Krishna we're calling out for? Prabhupada said that when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When we chant those names, they should be filled with meaning. Who is this person, Krishna? What is his name, form, abode, associates, qualities, and pastimes? And therefore, Prabhupada is very concerned that the devotees in his movement know about this Krishna. And there's never too much to know. And with this in mind, Srila Shivam Raj has been mining the literatures left by our predecessor acharyas. He's been mining so many sources in order to bring Krishna and make him very accessible. Help Krishna to really enter into our hearts. So he's produced two sets of books. One is called Navavraj Mahima, and the second is called the Krishna in Vrindavan series. We have both of these sets. The Krishna in Vrindavan series has never come together in this set, never been available all at the same time ever before. So it's a great opportunity to have them. They're very difficult to get hold of here in America. And therefore we, coming from Europe, have brought them to you. Here's a quick video where Maharaj is speaking about these books. And we're hoping that there won't be any technical faults.
Hare Krishna. I'm here accompanying Ananda Caitanya Prabhu to introduce to you our latest literary offering. This comprises of two sets of books, the Navaraja Mahima and Krishna in Vrindavan series in box sets. So first I'll explain a little what Navaraja Mahima is about. It's in 9 volumes, and the underlying inspiration is Srila Prabhupada's Krishna book. It contains 600 of my favorite pastimes. Of course, Krishna's Vrindavan Leela, and it's projected onto the canvas of New Vrajadam, hence we call it Navabraja Mahima. The ninth volume is a map book that describes the places in which all of these pastimes took place. This is not a children's book, but like Krishna book, it's for children, for adults, for paramahamsas, and for beginners. And like Krishna book, there's quite a minimum of philosophy. This book took me 5 years to write, so 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. And of course, the production is really high grade. We have first class paper, gold edging, gold blocking on the artificial leather cover. There are 400 pieces of art within the book, and these books will certainly last you many, many lifetimes. Okay, then let me describe Krishna in Vrindavan. And this is based on the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, Krishna's presence in Vrindavan from 1st to the 39th chapter. Again, the foundation is Srila Prabhupada's own commentaries, as well as those of other acharyas. What's the goal of these books? It's to deepen our absorption in Krishna by hearing his pastimes. The books which are in the set include Song of the Flute, Venu Gita, Napari Hum, Krishna leaving Vrindavan and returning, Damodar Leela, binding Krishna. And while sometimes people ask who's qualified to hear, the answer is certainly anyone can read these books, as anyone can read Srila Prabhupada's books, but we've written 2 books that underline the adhikar, or the qualification for reading, and that is Srila Bhakti Chintamani and Sankalpa Kaumudi. These books then culminate in Vilap Kusumanjali, which is the book which I have just written or writing, and that is a commentary on Raghunath Das Goswami's book of the same name. Our purpose here is not to make money. The books themselves are actually subsidized. They do cost quite a bit to write. And our real purpose, my purpose, is that this is my bhajan. And hopefully those who read it, it will be their bhajan. Moreover, Srila Prabhupada wanted us to hear about Krishna because he wanted us to be mad after Krishna. Well, how do you become mad in love after somebody? Well, you have to know them. And how do you know them? Well, you hear about them. You hear about Krishna's beauty, his qualities, his pastimes, associates. This, Srila Prabhupada said, is our family business. Writing books, printing them, reading them. And Prabhupada wanted us to replace all the non-Krishna conscious literature of the world with Krishna conscious literature. He wanted his followers to write. As a member of ISKCON, I'm making this an ISKCON-friendly book. They're directly written for devotees of our society. So I consider that this is my service to Krishna, to Srila Prabhupada, to you and your family, and humbly request that you take a set of these books, read them, gift them to others. It's a limited edition print, won't be always available. And finally, I'd like to invite you all to visit us in New Brajadam and see where Radha Shyama are currently enacting all the pastimes that we are writing about in these books. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much for your time and your attention this afternoon. The book table is outside. Some devotees have been in the previous sessions, Friday evening and Saturday evening. They've already taken sets, but those of you who haven't, please do come over and take your sets now. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki, ISKCON Tobacco ki, Nittai Gaur Premanandi, Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki, Jai.